friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Amanda. So in today's video, I've got some really amazing ground beef recipes to share with y'all. One of the ones that surprised me the most was a crockpot lasagna where you don't even have to boil the noodles. Y'all are definitely going to want to stay tuned for that one. But I've got all these delicious recipes just waiting for you. I can't wait to share them. Let's go ahead and get into the video. So let's get started on the tomato, cheddar, and beef macaroni. And this is a family favorite, so this time I went ahead and doubled the recipe. And y'all, this is such an easy recipe, so delicious, so quick and easy. It's a one-pot meal. I love one-pot meals because that means you only have to dirty up one pot, so not a ton of things dirty. And I've just got my onion chopped, and we're going to go ahead and saute that over medium heat. Then I'm going to add in my ground beef to this. I already had ground beef cooked, but if you were actually going to brown your ground beef, you'd want to go ahead and add it in this step and then brown that up with the onion. Now, I like my onion with a little bit of bite to it in a recipe like this to kind of have some contrast to the different textures and everything. So I didn't like overly saute it for a long time or anything. If you want it more softened, definitely let it go longer. It's just personal preference. So sometimes I'll let, depending on the recipe, I'll let it go longer. Sometimes I kind of go shorter because I want a little bit of crunch still left. So, and we've also got some garlic we're putting in here, and we're just going to saute that for a minute. Now, the original recipe, I used water before when I first made this, but anymore I've gotten to where a lot of times if a recipe calls for water, I go ahead and replace it with broth of some kind. Depends on what I feel like is going to work in that recipe. So I did use beef broth and then diced tomatoes. I prefer the petite diced ones. I like them smaller like that. And you want some basil, garlic, and oregano in it. I didn't have the tomatoes that had that in it, so I went ahead and added the basil, garlic, and oregano to just the tomatoes there because, that's pretty much the same thing. So it all works. We're going to go ahead and add in our macaroni noodles, our elbow macaroni, and just go ahead and bring this to a simmer and then cover it. And it's going to cook for about 10 minutes or until the macaroni has, cooked to your liking. So super easy. You really can't ask for anything quicker or easier. You can definitely do this faster than you can go through a drive-thru. So you also want to go ahead and once it gets done, add some cheese in. I just usually use sharp cheddar cheese, but you can use whatever is your favorite. I've only tried it with cheddar, so I don't know what it would taste like with something else. But I will say I feel like this gives me almost like a homemade hamburger helper, but it doesn't taste like, like the cheeseburger macaroni one or anything like that, because obviously you've got the tomatoes and all that stuff. But it's just a really good recipe and something quick and easy. And I tell you, sometimes when you get off work and you're done for the day and you're like, okay, I just need something fast that we can all eat and, get everything else done that we need to get done. And this is definitely one of those recipes that are great for those busy nights. So highly recommend this. It's absolutely delicious. And one pot, again, that's the thing I think is the worst about cooking is the dishes. Do y'all agree? Let me know in the comments below, but I feel like I love cooking. It's the dishes. So now I'm going to show you this crockpot lasagna. Y'all, I was so shocked by this recipe. I was not expecting it to turn out really well, honestly. It had really good reviews, but I was still hesitant, wasn't sure. So I'm just going to go ahead and brown my ground beef up. I'd actually bought some fresh, and so I thought I'm going to go ahead and just use enough for this recipe. And I browned it with my onions, adding in some garlic there. And I tend to go over on the garlic for whatever the recipe calls for because we always like garlic. So now I'm just adding in some spaghetti sauce. I used part Rayo's spaghetti sauce and then part just like a low sodium. I forgot the brand. And so I kind of mixed both of those. This one also called for a cup of water, but I decided to put beef broth instead. So again, that's something that I feel like, anytime you can add more flavor, it's a great opportunity to do that with that. Now we're just making our cheese mixture. It's some cottage cheese, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, an egg, and some parsley. And we're just going to kind of mix that all together. We're going to use that in our layers of our lasagna. And this is kind of close to my homemade lasagna I make, except for I actually do make the sauce from scratch on that. But I don't mix the mozzarella and all that together. I just do cottage cheese and an egg and then do that on one layer and stuff. So it's a little different, but it was kind of similar. So it kind of gave me some of the same flavors of it. Now I just sprayed my crock pot with some cooking spray. We're putting a little bit of our meat sauce down on the bottom, and then we're just going to start layering it. So we're going to do our noodles uncooked, which is part of the reason why I was concerned about this recipe. I'm thinking, is this really going to work? Are the noodles going to turn out the right texture? All that stuff like that. But we're going to go ahead and spread the cheese mixture on top of the noodles and just repeat these layers. You're going to do sauce, noodles, cheese mixture. And so I did want to make sure that I had enough, sauce to cover the top. So I was real careful about that at the very top. I think I did a little different layering at the top because I wanted to make sure every noodle was actually covered so that hopefully it would cook correctly. And I think I got maybe 4 layers of noodles. I can't remember. But this turned out surprisingly well. I was shocked. It was really, really good. And my family really enjoyed it. And so this just cooked for about 4 or 5 hours, and then we top it with some more mozzarella and Parmesan, and then let that melt for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you're ready to serve it. This was super easy. It would have been even faster if I used already cooked ground beef out of my freezer, but I had bought some fresh, like I said, so I just thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and cook it up, together like that. But it tasted so good, and you can kind of see these layers here in a minute. And the noodle texture was just right. I was shocked. I mean, let me know if y'all have ever made crock-pot lasagna, because, like I said, I was a little hesitant, wondered if this was really going to work. But it worked really well, and I was really surprised. So, definitely an easy way to make lasagna in the crock-pot. And you can't beat that. So, now we have our Tater Tot Casserole. So, y'all, I have been making this recipe for years, and it's definitely a family favorite as well. Super easy. We have it just in our heads now. We've made it so many times. So 2 cans of cream of soup. So you could use cream of chicken and cream of mushroom. You could use 2 cream of chicken, which is what I always use. It's just, whatever you like. You probably could do cream of chicken, celery, whatever combination you want to use. And I've just got that along with a cup of milk, and I'm just, mixing that together. I've got some ground beef I had cooked that I'm just going to layer on the bottom. And then, you just want to kind of pat that out into, layers so that it covers the whole bottom. And then we're just going to dump our tater tots on top. You can definitely make them look all nice and pretty, which I think always looks so nice. But I don't ever have the patience to do that. But it does look so pretty, when I've seen people do that. It's cute. And so I'm just going to kind of get them as even as I can, make sure those little gaps are covered. Then we're going to go ahead and spoon our mixture on top of this. Now you can add in veggies to this if you want to, on top of the meat. I kind of was trying to talk my husband into doing that. He's like, let's just do it on the side. I think he kind of didn't want to, he knows what this tastes like, and he didn't know how that would be. And so we didn't do it this time, but you definitely can, put veggies in there too if you want to. Almost like a shepherd's pie kind of thing, although I think it's like cottage pie if it's, with ground beef. But we bake it for, about 45 minutes or so. Then we top it with some cheese, whatever cheese you like. And then we put it back in the oven for about another 15 minutes. Let it get all good and bubbly and toasty. And this is just comfort food. I mean, I usually like to serve this with corn and green beans. It's a great meal, very easy. A quick meal too, because other than the baking time, it's super quick to throw it together. And so definitely one of those things that I feel like is a crowd pleaser, and also a really handy thing if you want to bake it to take somewhere, because I know that when we've had friends over or things like that, we've sometimes made this because I feel like casseroles are always kind of a handy thing to do that with. So great, yummy recipe. And like I said, definitely some comfort food. It's just good. So this was a completely new recipe as well. The Crockpot lasagna was new. This was new. I've seen this whole thing about Maid Rite sandwiches. They're like loose meat hamburgers or whatever. And I've always wanted to try what that is like. And these sliders looked really good. And so I thought, I'm going to do this and try it with the sliders. Now I've just browned up my hamburger. I'm going to also add in some beef broth. The recipe called for beef bouillon cube and water, but I didn't have a bouillon cube, so I just used beef broth. And then dried minced onion, Worcestershire sauce, and apple cider vinegar. And you're just going to kind of cook that down until the water kind of evaporates, and it's not, you're not going to have like a liquidy mixture or anything. And then we're just going to take and spread that over our Hawaiian rolls. I just did a half a recipe. This was more of like a snack type thing where we all could try it, not really so much for a dinner, because I didn't know if everybody would like it or whatever. So I thought this would be something kind of fun to try. And we went ahead and did the pickles on top, American cheese, and you could also use cheddar. But I felt like American cheese goes more on like, I don't know, like it makes me think more of a cheeseburger. So I went with that one for this. And then we've got this yummy butter mixture we're going to make up with brown sugar, Dijon mustard, and melted butter. And this was really good. I really love that coarse Dijon mustard. It's so good. I've been eating it like on sandwiches and stuff like that, and so I thought I would use it in this, and it was really, really good in this too. I always think the butter topping on sliders is part of what makes them so good. Like, I don't know, when you bake them, it goes into the bread and it gets all toasty, and you have some parts that are a little gooey with the butter. I don't know, it's just really good. So I definitely recommend this recipe. I love trying different variations of sliders. I think it can be fun to just try different ones. They're kind of cute little sandwiches anyways, but they're also great for, lunch, for dinner, for an appetizer, a snack, whatever you want, to use them for, pair them with some sides, and they definitely make a nice dinner too. But let me know if y'all have made any interesting combinations of sliders, or maybe which ones are your favorites, because I'm definitely wanting to try some more slider recipes. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. It always means so much to me that you choose to spend part of your day with me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. If you've enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you'd hit that like button. And if you haven't already, I'd love to have you as part of my YouTube family. So hit that subscribe button, and that way you don't miss out on any videos. But I hope y'all have a blessed day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.